Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli rabbi zidni ilma. Today we are here to solve another IGCSE O-Levels paper, Computer Science, Paper 2, Algorithms, Programming and Logic. This is 0478 Paper 2 May, June 2026. Let's move to the first question of the paper. Question number 1. Tick one box to complete the following sentence. Two types of pseudocode statements used for iteration are case and if, for next and if, for next and while do and while, repeat until and case. Now you know case and if, these both are your selection statements. It means they are not meeting the criteria of iteration, so completely they are out of question. Moving to part B, for next and if. For next is, but if isn't. That's why that is also not in the criteria. For next and while do and while, they are. That's why you have ticked here. Repeat until and case. Again, repeat until is, but case isn't. That's why the only option that is correct is part C, for next and while do and while. Question number 2. Tick one box to identify a programming data type used to store a single letter, symbol, or number input from the keyboard. And that is your CHAR. So you will tick part B and 1 mark is yours because neither Boolean, integer, and real are not meeting the criteria. Just recalling, integer is storing a whole number. Real is holding the number with the fractional part, and Boolean is holding a yes or a no. So A, C, and D are completely out of this category. A single letter, symbol, or number is your CHAR data type. Question number 3. Identify the type of validation check used in each description. First part, a check to make sure the data has been input and not left blank. That is the presence check. Part 2, a value placed at the end of a sequence of numbers in the code. The value is calculated from all the other values before it. That is the check digit, the one that we have learned. Part B, explain the purpose of a format check and give an example of where it could be used. It's a 3-mark question. So how will you answer so that you are scoring 3 out of 3 is 2 marks are for purpose and 1 mark is for the right example. So what is the purpose actually? Why do we use format check? You know that format check is used to see that the input is matching a specified pattern, a specified structure, the one that is used, and it is done by containing a set number of letters and numbers, or it can be applied by containing specific groups of digits, or the format check is applied by containing specific characters within the text. As the example of date, the best example that immediately strikes our mind is date, and the DDMMIY format that we use in order to write the dates, that is going to give you 1 out of 1 for the example and 2 marks for the purpose. Explained properly, defined properly will give you 3 out of 3. I hope that there is no confusion. Just an example of date. I mean, you can think of any other example like the code that you have for the school. Okay, the first 2 letters are indicating the country and the last 3 letters are indicating the last 3 digits are indicating a certain value. Perfect, very nice. So any example can do, but why is it mentioned here? Because date is the best example that comes to our mind when it comes to the format check. Part C. Write the pseudocode for an algorithm to perform a validation check on each number as it is input using the following criteria. Input one number at a time. If the number is a whole number, store it in the current element of the array accepted. If the number is not a whole number, ask for it to be input again until it is a whole number. When 15 whole numbers have been stored, output a message that states that the check has been completed. Now there are 4 bullet points, and then use appropriate prompts and output messages to make sure that to make the requirements clear to the user. Like this is again a very important thing that is why it is highlighted for you. You do not need to declare any arrays or variables for this algorithm. So it means even if you're spending your time on declaration, that will not give you any mark at all, because there's no mark awarded for the declaration at all. So be clear, do not waste your time, and let's move to the question. Now, before we move to the example answer, just see that how will I gain the mark. There's 1 mark awarded for appropriate loop to iterate for 15 inputs, and the mark will be awarded in case you have used the right statements to input a number along with the message. Remember, input prompts are also a very important requirement. Now, after the input is taken, testing if the input is an integer, and for that you can use mod function, diff function, or round functions. Any one function used properly with its proper syntax and checking done properly will give you another mark. Repeated re-input if the number is not an integer until it is entered, and it is entered as an integer value. Store integer in the correct array location, as was again the very important requirement. And last but not the least is at least 2 outputs seen from input prompt, error messages, or completion messages. So these are the marking points. Now just an example program is here. First thing is, you can see just a color coding is done for you to comprehend the for loop, and the for loop is iterating 15 times because it has to take 15 inputs. For counter, assignment operator 1 to 15, and the next counter. This is your definitely one important thing. Now, inside this for loop, we are supposed to take the input of a whole number. So a message is there for the user, input a whole number, input value, and this message is in a repeat until conditional loop. I mean, just recall, we have done the validation check, and in order to ensure that number is entered as a valid number, that is, it's a whole number, we are using a repeat until loop. Now, what is repeat until? Repeat until, till when will it keep on iterating? Until mod value comma 1 equal to 0. Now just assume, just giving an example, assume that the person entered, okay, now just giving an example, for the value that is required to be input by the user, a person entered 4. So you can see, now just 4 means mod value, that is 4 comma mod brackets value is 4 comma 1. It means that we are finding the mod of 4 comma 1, means that the remainder, if the number 4 is divided by 1. So what is the remainder? The remainder is 0, exactly, because it is dividing completely with 1. So that is why it will be iterating till the number input is a valid integer value. It's not, it's a whole number basically. Now, if, for example, the next example I'm quoting is, I, for example, entered a value like 5.5. Now, 5.5 comma 1. Now, what do you think? Is it going to give you the remainder as 0? Just divide 5.5 by 1. And what is the remainder? The remainder is not 0. That's why it will keep on iterating. So basically, this is your repeat until loop. And this repeat until loop is simply checking that the number input must be a whole number, fine? And this is just simply done to give an idea to the user that what he has done wrong. And along with that, now, if you are clear with this thing, repeat until mod value comma 1 equals to 0. I mean, this is just one example that we have used to ensure that the number input is a valid whole number. Now, again, moving back to this one, input value is 4. 4 is comma 1 is not equal to 0. Or if round value comma 0 is not equal to value. Now, just start from here. Just keep the same mod at the moment. Mod value means mod 4 comma 1 is not equal to 0. You can see 0 is not equal to 0. That is incorrect. So that is why it will move to this one, and it will store the value 4, that is input by the user, in the first location because the count as value is 1. So first array location of accepted array will hold 4 because 4 is a valid number. Example, first input taken, correct input, stored properly in the array accepted and its counter location. I hope that's clear. And definitely after this is done, it will move to the for loop once again, and the counter value has now changed to 2. Now the second example 5.5. The person entered 5.5. Testing in this to store the marks properly. Now be very clear. This is your marking criteria. If you're following the instructions, then you will be definitely able to score the marks. Now, coding. Writing the program code in a programming language is what coding is. And for that, you can use a pseudocode, you can use flowcharts, you can use the structure diagrams in order to aid, in order to help in the designing process. You have to document your code with comments, and these comments are simply there to ensure that your program is maintainable. It can be used in your absence also. And besides this, writing procedures or functions, and you can even use library routines. You can also use the ready-made functions also. A compiler or an interpreter is used in order to in order to translate the code. That is also a part of the coding process, because we do not code only, we do keep on checking the code also. We keep on testing the code in small parts to ensure that the code is working properly. And this is only done to make sure that it is working properly. That is the only purpose of writing the code. Now moving to testing. Now what is testing actually? The final stage of testing the whole program for errors. Now remember, testing here, it's a bit different from the testing that we do when we are coding the program. And this is done when we are done with the entire process, and this is the final stage. Here we use the test data to see that how the program is going to respond and how the program will be responding to the normal values, to the abnormal values, to the boundary values, or to the extreme values. And this is just done to see that whether the program is producing the required outcomes, program is doing as it is planned for. Is it meeting the criteria or not? Is it actually doing what it is made for? And while you are doing the testing phase, you come across certain problems or certain errors. So those errors are fixed. The bugs are fixed. The debugging process is taking place during testing phase. And this is how, if you have explained the coding and the testing phases properly, you will be scoring 6 out of 6. Now, the next question number 5. The purpose of this pseudocode algorithm is to find the name of a customer using an account ID, which contains letters and numbers. Account ID contains letters and numbers. The name of the customer and the account ID are stored in the pre-populated 2D array of accounts by the name accounts. Algorithm would then output the name of the customer. Storage of the values ID and name in a 2D array, and the purpose of the algorithm is to output the name of the customer. For example, accounts 1,1 contains the account ID of the first customer, and accounts 1,2 contains the name of the first customer. Now see, 1 is indicating the first customer, 1 is indicating the first customer, the second one is indicating the ID, and the second value 2 here is indicating the name. It's basically a 2D array, means row, comma, column. Now, this is your pseudocode. Declare accounts array 1:1000 means 1000 locations, 1000 rows, and 1,2 means 2 columns. And the data type of this is string. Declare row integer, declare account ID integer. Output, please enter in account ID, output account ID. For row equals to 1 to 1000, case of account ID equals to accounts, row comma 1, then output the customer's name is accounts, 1 comma 2, end if, next row. Now, this is the entire 11-line code for this process, for this purpose. Identify the line numbers of the 4 errors in the pseudocode and suggest corrections. Now, if you just look at the code, which lines do you think are incorrect and how can you correct them? Now, if you have paid attention, when we were talking about the ID, that should contain letters and numbers. Letters and numbers are never stored in integer, it means that line number 3 has an error. So first of all, before you start your work, just tick, highlight, or whatever. Do not start answering immediately. Please just follow the instructions. Line number 4 is containing output, and line number 5 is also containing output. It means after the output statement, there should be input. It means the error is in line number 5. For row equals to 1 to 1000, correct? They are 1000 times. Case of account ID equals to. Do you think that case of works like this? Case of and then end if. Definitely it means line number 7 has an incorrect statement. It should not be case. It should be something else, and you know what it should be. After that, then is correct. Output the customer's name is. Now, accounts 1, comma 2. If I say, the name is present in column number 2, but is it always going to display the same value, or should it be changing? The error is in line number 9. It's such an easy question. If you have understood it well, this is what are the errors. The 4 errors have been identified, and let's see their correction. Line number 3, declare account ID integer is wrong. It should have been declare account ID colon string. Then as we identified line number 5 as an error, it should not be output in account ID, it should be input account ID. Then line number 7, case is incorrect. It should have been if account ID equals to accounts row comma 1. And then another error is in line number 9, that is the output. Customer's name is accounts 1, comma 2 is wrong. It should have been accounts row comma 2. In this manner, identification of the 4 errors written properly will give you 4 out of 4. Part B, state the name given to this type of algorithm. What is it doing? It's doing the linear search. It's checking each one and then doing the work of linear search. It's checking repeatedly from the first row to the last 1000 rows, and you are simply checking the names which are matching the criteria to show the names of the criteria that is being matched. And that is your linear search. Part C, algorithm stops if the account number is not found in the array. Write the pseudocode statement to change the algorithm to inform the user that the account number has not been found in the array. Now, it's only doing the work. It's not telling the customer that whether it's found, it's not found. So for that, they want some amendments to be made in the pseudocode. Clearly state with the original algorithm your new statements would be placed. Do not rewrite the whole algorithm. Now, just see the marks once again. Just always remember that you have to look for the marks first, and based on the marks, you will decide that what will be your course of action, how will you go about. Now, let's see the pseudocode once again, and let's move to our question. What they want you to do, what should be the amendments that you need to make in the program? For this, you need to initialize a flag, and this flag will be initialized in the beginning. Actually, you'll be initializing it somewhere before line number 6. Now, just be clear. Line number 6 is the beginning of your search process. So, this flag should be initialized somewhere before line number 6. Okay, and you can say at the start also, or you can say before line 6, that's perfectly okay. And how will you initialize? Flag will be false, or you can say flag equals to 0. Any variable will do. Yes, exactly. Any variable will do. But flag is just an indication. That's why we normally prefer to use the term flag. That's why we have used the flag here. And now between lines 8 and 10, where the item has been found, what will you do? Between lines 8 and 10. 8 and 10 are the lines where we are just going for the condition. So what will we do here? We are going to have the flag to be set as true, or the value flag will be 1 in case the item is found. And outside the loop after line 11, you have to use another selection statement that will be simply outputting a message if flag equals to false, then output item account number is not found, so that the person is aware that the item number isn't found. He is not completely in dark. He knows what is the change that has been brought in. Okay, another child, he is showing he remembers that this is what we have learned also during the linear search, that instead of use of for, he wants to use while. Perfectly okay. But for that, what is the requirement? What the child has to write? Use or initializing of the variable flag before line number 6, or you can say in the beginning. And that is the same. Between lines 8 and 10, where the item has been found, he has to use flag equals to true or flag equals to 1. Outside the loop after 11, line number 11, he has to use another selection statement and output if flag equals to false and output account number not found. Replace line 6 and 11 and increment counter before line 11. Now this is the change. Line 6 is containing 4 and line 11 is containing next. So if a child has thought that he does not want to use 4, he wants to use while. So what will he do then? He will say he will be replacing line 6 and 11 with while, not flag, and row less than or equal to 1000, do, and beside this he has to use an increment statement for row equals to row plus 1 because this row has to be incremented by 1. And beside this, he needs to have the initializing of the row exactly. This should be initialized in again before the while loop and the use of end while. So if, for example, the child has opted for while, that's perfectly okay. The beginning statements are the same. There's initializing of the flag variable with false, and then if the condition is met, then flag will be true, and then the use of if statement. But the change is instead of for, he has opted for while, and where to write while, how to write it, that is something that we have talked about, and this is it, fine. So this is the whole process. And in this manner, you will be scoring 5 out of 5. Okay, question number 6. This flowchart represents an algorithm. Start, input word length, assignment operator, length word, count equals to 0, num letter equals to 1, if substring word, comma num letter, comma 1 equals to substring word, comma num letter plus 1, comma 1. If num letter comma 1 is similar to substring second letter comma 1, like comparing the letters, if yes, then count equals to count plus 1 and go to this. If that is not the case, then simply num letter will be increased by 1, and then in the check is there. Is num letter equals to word length? If yes, it is going to output count and it will take the input of the choice. If that is not the case, it will go for the next. The num letters value has been increased by 1, so it will be the second value, the third value in this manner. It will keep on iterating for the set number of times as you have for the number of times the letters are there, because that is dealing with a certain number of characters. Now let's see if input choice, if choice equals to y, then continue, otherwise it will stop the flowchart. I'm moving to this. Complete the trace table for the algorithm using the input data. And what is the input data? Post, Y, committee, N, bookkeeper. Now let's do it together, and we will be expecting you to do it with us. Now start. Input word. Input word means word will hold the first input by the user, that is your letter, that is your word P-O-S-T, the first word, the first in the list. After that it says what? Word length equals to length of word. Now word length variable will hold the length of word, and since it is composed of 4 characters, that's why word length will hold 4. Okay, the word is post and its length is 4 characters. Now let's move to the next part. Count equals to 0, num letter equals to 1. Count 0, num letter 1, and we are simply going to compare the first letter with the second letter. Now let's do it first and then we'll move back to this one. Count 0, num letter 1. Count is 0 and num letter is 1. Okay, this is the initializing process done, and now we are starting the checking. The checking says what? Is substring means extracting the letter or letters from a string, a set number from the beginning. The beginning is Now, from where to extract? So extract from the variable word. From where to extract? Num letter position, comma 1 means from the variable word, from num letter position, and right now it is 1, it is asking it to extract the first letter, because 1 comma 1 means the first letter means it will be the letter P that will be extracted, and we are going to compare it with the second letter. Is it equal to substring word comma num letter plus 1 comma 1? Now just remember, with this line, the value of num letter will not be increased. It will simply be num letter plus 1. Means num letter was 1, so 1 plus 1 will be 2. It means it is now going to it is now going to check with the second letter. And second letter here is O. Is P equals to O? In other words, if I just keep it in simple words, it simply means it's comparing is P equal to O. Now, what do you think? Is it matching? Is the condition true? P equals to O? No, it is not. So in this case, it will simply move down and will increase the value of num letter by 1. Okay, now let me explain it once again. Count 0, num letter 1, and we are simply asked to extract using substring from word num letter comma 1 position. So it will be extracting from the variable word num letter position means first position, comma 1 means one letter, P will be extracted, and it will be checking it with the second letter, because now it is again saying word comma num letter plus 1 comma 1 means second position, one character. It means it will be extracting the letter O. Are they matching? No. That is why it will move down, and the value of num letter will be increased by 1, and that is simply shown by the num letter being 2 here. Okay, now let's do it a little faster. Now, no, it is going to move down. It's checking, is num letter equals to word length? Is 2 equals to 4? No. So it will move up again. And now it will be extracting the num letter is now 2, 2 comma 1, which will be compared with 3 comma 1. Means it will be now comparing O with S. Is O and S equal? Again, you can see O and S are not equal. Since they are not equal, that's why it will move down, and the value of num letter will be increased by 1. Again, the num letter will be now becoming 3 here. And then it will be moving once again up to find out that is it equal to 4? No, not yet. So it will be now moving up. Now it will be checking 3 comma 1 with 4 comma 1, because now to be extracting the letter from the third position, which is S, and the letter from the fourth position, which is T, and S and T will be compared. So you can see again S and T are not equal. So that is why still the num letter value will be increased by 1 to make it 4, and it will now be checked. Now, is it now equal to word length? Yes. Now you can see, now after the the checks are made 4 times, now the num letters value is equal to word length. So they are now equal. We are simply supposed to output the value of count. So let's move back to this to this trace table, and we can see the value of count is 0. So it will simply be outputting the value of count 0 here. If you want to use the same line, perfectly okay. But if you want to use a new line, you can write the value of count here, and then you can move further, and you can simply say, now it is equal to, they are equal. So it will move, yes, output count, input choice. For input choice, what will I do? First, it was the use of my variable word, and now it is the value y. Now this value y will be moving to the variable choice. Just be clear. The value y will be moving to the variable choice. And let's move back to this one. Input choice. Input choice means the next value in the input data is taken, and that is y, and it is compared if choice equals to y. Yes, the condition is yes, y true. So it will be moving up, and it will be moving to the beginning. It means it is now going to start the same process once again. The next input of word will be taken, and the whole process will be done. So let's do a little faster now. We are done with y being true, means condition true. It is now taking input, and the input is going to be committee. And how will I be cautious about the letters, about the way it is being written. You do not have to make any mistake at all. Committee. This is the entire word. Committee. Now the same process repeated. Now Committee. The same procedure repeated. Word length equals to length of word. So word length will now be holding the value of 9. Now let's do the procedure once again. Count equals to 0, num letter equals to 1. Count equals to 0 and num letter equals to 1. Now let's start with the extraction. It will now be extracting the first letter and the second letter and will be comparing. It means it will be picking the letter C and O. Are they equal? No, they are not. So it means it is not equal. That's why it will be moving down to num letter equals to num letter plus 1. The value of num letter will be increased by 1 and the num letter value will become 2 here. I hope that you are doing it with me. The value of num letter variable will be increased by 1 and it will now become 2. Now, it is going to now compare the second letter and the third letter. Means it will now be comparing O and M. O and M, are they equal? No, it is not. It means the value of num letter will again be increased by 1 and will now become 3. Okay? In this manner, you can see the num letter value is increased by 1. It will become 2, then it will become 3. And in this manner, look, now let's put it in an organized manner to make it understandable that you have to use a separate line for this. Okay, now after the third, after the value of num letter is increased by 1, it becomes 3. It means now it will be comparing the third and the fourth letter. Now, third and the fourth letter means the third letter is M and the fourth letter is also M. So now you can see the condition is now true. Both the letters are now equal. So it will increase the value of count by 1. So the value of count will now become 1. Earlier it was, now just be clear, the position, the value of count will be increased by 1, it will now become 1. And the reason is, after the comparison is done, it will see that they both are matching. Like the second letter and was not matching with the third letter, but third and fourth are matching. That's why it will be increasing the value of count by 1, and the same process of new letters, num letters variable be increased by 1. That will happen once again, and num letter will now become 4. Now let's do, now it will be moving up to compare the fourth and the fifth letter. So are they equal? Fourth letter is your 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth letter is is I. Are they equal? No, they are not. So that is why it will be, I think we all can do it together. I'm also doing it. You are also doing it. Come on. We are doing it very quickly and let's see, are our answers matching or not? Come on. Come on, let's start. The value of num letter will be increased by 1. It will become 5 and will be comparing the fifth and the sixth letter. Fifth letter is COMMI. And then sixth letter is your T. So are we doing it? I hope that we are doing together and we are reaching the same answer. Comparison done, you saw that M and M were matching. That's why it has increased the value of count by 1. Then T and T were matching. That's why the value of count is again increased by 1 to make it 2. Then another time it's E and E matching. That's why the value of count will be increased by 1 to make it 3. And in this manner, once the loop is over, you can see the value is now equal. The num letters value and word length is now 9. They both are equal. It's now yes. So I'm asked to output the value of count, and since the variable count's last value is a 3, that's why it will display the value 3 here. And then another time the input is taken, the input is now for choice, and the choice variable is now holding the value of, after committee, you can see the value after committee is used, it's the letter N. And that is why the choice variable is now holding N here. We are going to insert N here. That is capital N. And the check is made if choice is choice equals to Y. So the choice is not Y. So that is why it will be stopping the program. So this is the whole flow chart that we have done the trace table of, and if you have done it accurately, you're going to score 6 out of 6. So after the flow chart is dry run, then you can see the purpose, state the purpose of the algorithm shown by the flow chart. So what is it doing? The flow chart is meant to count and then output the number of double or repeated letters or the pairs of letters in a word. So this will give you 1 out of 1. Question number 7. I hope that this flowchart is now clear. An easy one, not a difficult one, just needing a little bit of the caution, not a difficult at all. State one reason to store data in a file. Why do we store data in a file? So that the data is stored permanently, very simple, and that their data is not lost. Because it is providing a non-volatile copy. The data is not lost if the computer is turned off, if the program is turned off, or the program has crashed. It is simply done so that the data can be used again later as a backup. It is also done so that it can be transported to a different computer and the data can be shared. So if a child has written any of the following points, any of the discussed points, he will be scoring 1 out of 1. Part B. A list of names of the members of a club are stored in the file called names.txt. Write the pseudocode statements to load a line of text from names.txt and assign the line of text to an appropriate named variable. Now, variable is your choice. Now, there's a 4-mark question. It means that how will you score 4 out of 4? The marking criteria. You have declared an appropriately named variable. Now, this is although not shown below. Now, here you can see there's a mark awarded for each gate that you have drawn appropriately. There's going to be a mark awarded for the statement. The expression is Z equals to not B or not C, XOR A Nancy. So how will you gain the mark? There's a mark awarded for each thing. You have drawn the NAND gate properly, that is containing that is getting one input from A and another input coming from C. And this is going to the XOR gate. A Nancy going to the XOR gate. Then another one is going to be for drawing the appropriate not C connected to the OR gate. And this OR gate is getting another input coming from B. And after the B or not C is done, then we have to not this operation. The use of NOT gate is here, connected to this XOR, and then the result is Z. In this manner, you will be scoring the marks here, which is going to be 5. Part B. Complete the truth table from the given logic expression that equals to not B or not C, XOR A Nancy. So here we can see, what have we done? First thing is we have done not C. Then we have done B or not C. Then we have just performed the not operation on this result. Then we have found A Nancy. And then the final result is found, Z is found by working on not B or not C, this column, and the A Nancy, and it is applying the XOR operation. So let's see, not C means the reverse of C. So simply the reverse of C will be 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. Then B or not C. B or not C means that now we have to refer to this and this. And it is an OR operation. Means any one value, a 1 will be giving you a 1. So it means not C is a 1, that's why it is a 1 here. 0 or 0, a 0. 1 or 1 is a 1. 1 or 0, a 1. 0 or 1, a 1. 0 or 0 is a 0. 1 or 1 is a 1. 1 or 0 is a 1. So this is your B or not C. Next is the knotting, the reversing of this column. Means 1 becomes a 0, 0 becomes a 1, 1 becomes a 0, 1 becomes a 0, 1 becomes a 0, 0 becomes a 1, 1 becomes a 0, and 1 becomes a 0. And then we have the last A Nancy. A Nancy means A and C, and we're going to perform the NAND operation. So 0 and 0 is a 0, reverse is a 1. 0 and 1 is a 0, reverse is a 1. 0 and 0 is a 0, reverse is a 1. 0 and 1 is a 0, opposite is a 1. 1 and 0 is a 0, reverse is a 1. 1 and 1 is a 1, that is a 0. 1 and 1 and 0 is a 0, result is a 1. NAND is a 1. And 1 and 1 is a 1, the result is a 0 because of the NAND operation. In this manner, you have got the A and C, and last is this column XORed with this column, like these two last columns, and we are going to have XOR. 0, 1, opposites are 1, 1, 1, same as 0, 0, 1, opposites are 1, 0, 1, opposites are 1, 0, 1, opposites are 1, 1, 0, opposites are 1, 0, 1, opposites are 1, 0, 0, same is a 0. So this is how you will score 4 out of 4. Question number 9. A database table car parts stores details of car parts that a business has in stock. Complete the table by giving the most appropriate data type for each field. Only the data types text, character, boolean, integer, real, and date time are available in this database. Now, part ID, you can see the description says unique code to identify the car parts with letters and numbers. Letters and numbers means it's text. Part name. Name of car parts, for example, windscreen wiper. Windscreen wiper, very clear indication it's a text. Car type, 4-digit number code to represent the type of car. Now, a child can write integer and the one can write text. That is correct because it is not used in calculations. Price, setting price to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places means it is going to be real, and then specify the size if relevant, otherwise stores one size. One size, a clear indication it will be a text field. Color, single letter code for the color of the car part. Single letter code. It means it is character. The next one is number in stock, the quantity of car parts in stock, and the quantity of car parts in stock is going to be an integer. In stock, whether or not the car part is in stock, and that is going to be a boolean. So the best choice is boolean, but if a child has written text or character or integer, then they are going to accept this as a right answer or as well. Part B. Complete the SQL structured query language statement to list only the part ID, type of car, and the quantity in stock of all the car parts that are brake parts. That are brake pads. Select from and where. These were the 3 clauses that were written, and we were supposed to fill in the blanks. Select is what is to be selected, which fields. Part ID is part ID. And be cautious. For the fields, you have to refer to the table structure and you have to use the way it is present in your structure, not even a mistake of a space as well. Part ID, comma, car type. This is type of car is the car type, comma, number in stock. Number in stock is the quantities in stock is number in stock. From car parts. Car parts is the name of the table. Where, and what is the condition? Where car parts that are brake pads means where part name equals to brake pads. Or the child can say part names equals to part name equals to brake pads. So either a child has written in double quotations or in single quotations, they both are acceptable, and in this manner, you will be scoring 4 out of 4. Part C. Now be cautious. Both are accepted. For string, either you are going to put the values in double quotations or single quotations. They're accepting both. Describe one reason why the in stock is not needed in the table. Now, why in stock is not needed? You can see number in stock is clearly indicating the value. So in stock, whether or not the car part is in stock, they are saying fine, it's a part, perfectly okay, it's a part of the database table, but still they are suggesting that it should not be, even if it's not that, that is no okay. So why is it so? Because an alternate field number in stock is there. And if the number of stock field is containing a zero, it means it is completely indicating that the value is out of stock. Or a positive value in this field indicating that the value is present, it's in the stock, and there is no need to have a separate field to indicate this. If you have identified the right field and the right reason, that you will be scoring 2 out of 2. Hope that you have understood this whole paper. One question, scenario-based question is left. Inshallah, we'll be doing very soon. Stay tuned. Click on the bell icon, subscribe the channel so that you are aware of the latest updates. Jazakallah khairan kaseera for being part of the learning journey. Hope that you have understood each and everything. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. May Allah help you. May Allah bless you. Allah Hafiz.